Smith, American Legion Post 440. I'd like to thank Principal Susan McCarthy, the entire school administration, staff, faculty of Council Rock North High School for joining with veterans for the 27th consecutive year to allow students and the community at large to recognize the contribution of veterans and to honor those graduates of Council Rock High School who have given their lives in defense of freedom. Before getting started, a few special guests we'd like to recognize today. First of all, Anthony Ponarelli from Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick's office. Get out there. State Representative Steve Sanacero. Steve. And Staff Sergeant Javier Benitez, recruiting officer of the United States Army. Today marks the 93rd anniversary of Veterans Day, formed out of Armistice Day, which marked the end of World War I on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the year 1918. The Newtown American Legion Post itself is named for a young Army lieutenant and Newtown resident, Murrell Smith, who gave his life in that war. The year 2011 also has special significance in marking the 50th anniversary of what most consider the official start of the Vietnam War in 1961, and the 10th year of fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan against insidious enemies who attacked us on September the 11th of 2001. My name is Tom Yeagle. I'm a Vietnam veteran and member of American Legion Post 440 here in Newtown. It is truly an honor and privilege to be your master of ceremonies, both to pay tribute to those Council Rock graduates whose portraits are to my left, as well as all Council Rock graduate veterans and all veterans of all military services in defense of America. As a Vietnam veteran, it is particularly humbling and moving for me to be honoring these men who gave their lives in Vietnam, and 7 who attended high school the same years as myself. The 14th and 15th, Bob Dombalski and Ken Elwell, gave their lives in defense of freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan, respectively. I speak for all veterans present here today on Veterans Day 2011, as we're all proud and honored to recognize these men who never had a chance to return home to become veterans. The program which we're attending today began 27 years ago as a modest gathering in the second floor hallway of this building, which houses the Wall of Honor. And students, may we suggest from time to time, stop by there, take a moment to look at that wall honoring the former students of your school and absorb its meaning. Today, this day of recognition has grown into a capacity-filled auditorium consisting mostly of students who are eager to broaden their knowledge and understanding of history and Veterans Day tributes. While today's program not only pays specific tribute to our fallen Council Rock grads, but also veterans of all services and all wars and conflicts, plans are currently being formed to provide a new 2-part student program beginning in 2012. There would be a pre-Memorial Day program to honor Council Rock fallen heroes, plus the Veterans Day program to honor living veterans. So we're going to be working with Student Council to try to change things up a little bit next year and provide a little bit more background on both classifications. In the audience today are members of the various eras, including World War II, Vietnam, Korea, the Cold War, and the Middle East. Our veterans of World War II and Korea stand proud by their service that thwarted the expansion of plans of evil rulers. Vietnam veterans fought in Southeast Asia to hold back communism. This effort eventually contributed to the fall of communism in Eastern Europe and the transition of China from an isolated totalitarian communist state to a transitional state-sponsored capitalistic society as an important member of today's world community. And for the record, as one North Vietnamese general noted, it's important to point out here on the 50th anniversary of that war, the American military did not lose the Vietnam War. North Vietnam was near defeat when the tide of war shifted due to the intense public opinion protest in America. Veterans of Desert Shield and Desert Storm defeated Saddam Hussein's attempt to take over Kuwait and steal much of the world's oil supply. And our youngest combat veterans have stepped forward and performed valiantly after the attacks at 9/11 to battle terrorists where they live and train much of the appreciation of Iraq and Afghan citizens who, despite the enemy's continued efforts to control them, are enjoying a newfound freedom. The fruits and service and sacrifice of veterans can be seen throughout the world, as evidenced by hundreds of millions of people who live in freedom in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. After their service, the veterans who provided us this freedom and freedom people all over the world that played vital roles in their own communities, trades and professions, and made America a better place and made people willing to stand up to this day. Our special guest speaker today has done a book of case histories on people who provided that effort in Vietnam, and I think you'll find his talk interesting. Veterans and active duty military personnel, please stand to be recognized. Thank you, and on behalf of everyone in the community, thank you for your service. It is our hope at the American Legion that everyone gathered here today leaves this auditorium more informed and more inspired by the men and women who have served and continue to serve our country through military service, as well as the day that celebrates Veterans Day. And students, if you want to do something meaningful today, take a minute to thank a friend, a relative, or anyone you know who has served or is serving. You can even email or text them in this modern day. It mean a lot to them. Host the colors.
Would everyone please rise? Veterans, present arms. Honor guard. Host the colors. Order, arms. Take your seats.
Next big standing is the Council Rock Master Singers, directed by Jared Williams, will perform our national anthem.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streaming,
and the rockets reckless, bursting in and our flag was still there.
oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated while the Master Singers perform the song I Read It Blessing. May the road Mrs. Susan McCarthy.
Good morning, everyone. As three principals before me have welcomed you, I too am proud to welcome you to the 27th observance of Veterans Day at Council Rock High School, now Council Rock High School North. Because the memorial of Council Rock's fallen servicemen in our second floor lobby was undergoing renovation several years ago, we gathered in our auditorium to continue this tradition. This setting has enabled us to invite not only our honored friends, but also many of our second period social studies students in grades 9 through 12. Welcome to all. On November 11, 1921, an unknown American soldier was buried on a Virginia hillside overlooking the city of Washington, D.C. While the burial site of this World War I soldier in Arlington National Cemetery symbolized dignity and reverence for Americans' veterans, similar ceremonies took place in England and France, where an unknown soldier of the Great War was buried in each nation's highest place of honor, Westminster Abbey in England and the Arc de Triomphe in France. This day became known as Armistice Day. Unfortunately, the war to end all wars was followed by World War II in 1939, during which 400,000 additional Americans gave their lives for their country. In 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a bill proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day, calling upon Americans to rededicate themselves to the cause of peace. As we gather together today to honor Council Rock High School's fallen and missing Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan servicemen, we are extending our honorable tribute to all Americans in all wars. In honoring Council Rock's own today, we extend our tribute to all Americans who have fought and will fight to keep America free and secure. Thank you.
At this time, please join me in recognizing the Commander of Morale Smith Post 440 of the American Legion, Mr. John Guy, also Lieutenant United States Army. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to American Legion Post 440 member Chuck Resch.
Good morning. At this time, we'd like to do the presentation of roses. On behalf of the student body, members of the Council Rock North Student Council will present a rose in remembrance of each family member in honor of the fallen Council Rock graduate and the family's fallen hero whose portraits are on stage. When I call the soldier's name, rank, and service, and year of graduation, would the family member please stand, and the student council member will present a rose to you. Should no family member or representative be available, a veteran or a veteran's dependent who is with us will accept the rose on behalf of the family. The roses will be placed at the memorial wall on the second floor after today's ceremony. I would like to note that Mrs. Janice Elwell, mother of United States Army First Sergeant Kenneth Elwell, wrote to express her regrets that due to another Veterans Day commitment, she will not be with us today. Captain William D. Booth, class of 1959, United States Army. Will Jim Anderson, adjutant, accept on
Lieutenant Daniel A. Hennessy, class of 1960, United States Army.
Sergeant Nelson C. Ruther. Would Ed Hackett, Junior Vice Commander, accept?
Lieutenant William S. Geary. Would Joe Carr please accept this rose, Finance Officer, Post 440?
Airman Douglas A. Post.
CWO Robert O. Hill Jr.
Warrant Officer Robert S. Scott Jr.
Spec 4 Harry C. Wilson. Jerry Luck, would you accept that, Rose?
Private First Class David Lones.
Spec 3 Frank N. Mebs. Stan Matthews, would you accept that, Rose, please?
Lance Corporal Marvin O. Whitman. Would Dave Penpacker please accept that, Rose?
Warrant Officer William H. McDonald. Tom Morris, would you accept that, Rose? Joe Swerk, would you accept that, Rose?
Captain Walter H. Sigafus. Dave Matthews.
Specialist Robert Dombrowski Jr.
First Sergeant Kenneth B. Elwell. Jim Casey, would you please accept? That concludes our presentation of roses.
Our guest speaker today is Mr. John Siegfried, author of a recently published book chronicling the Vietnam War and its effects on its participants, their families, and the world. Having grown up and been educated while the Vietnam War was raging, and in recent years being intrigued by the silver POW MIA bracelet and other bracelets worn by family members and friends of those lost or impacted by the war, John set off on a personal journey of discovery about Vietnam and those that served our nation during that time. By background, Mr. Siegfried is a graduate of St. Joseph's University and military historian who has worked as a marketing research consultant since 1993. His recently released work, 6 Degrees of the Bracelet, Vietnam's Continuing Grip, is the result of thousands of miles of travel and over 9,000 hours of interviews and writing, and has been critically acclaimed by military experts, historians, and Vietnam War participants. Mr. Siegfried resides in Warrington with his wife Donna and daughters Heather and Allie. Please join me in welcoming John Siegfried.
Good morning, everybody. We have a logistical problem here. Okay. Thank you, Principal McCarthy, and the Student Council President, and I wanted to also thank Mr. Gamble. I'm not sure where he is, but we went back and forth on email. And certainly Tom, who asked me to step in today at the last minute. Tom told me that this is probably my first and last time that I'll ever replace a Lieutenant General in a speaking engagement, and I'm sure he's right. I want to also acknowledge all of the students who participated in Vietnam and who are no longer here with us, and family members, as well as our current serving sergeant and our retired veterans as well. Today is 11/11/11. I cut back my speech here because Mrs. McCarthy and Tom already went into the background of the history of 11/11. One thing that some people may not know, that arguably the greatest battlefield general this country ever produced was born on this date in 1885, and for the non-Army folks in the room, that would be George Patton. I've always been fascinated by him, and I was going to tie that in with some other things that have already been discussed. But basically, Veterans Day, technically by Congress, is 33 years old today. Because they went back and forth over lunch. They couldn't figure out if they wanted to call it Armistice Day or Veterans Day, and they went back and forth for, I don't know, 50 years. But today, is we honor all of our veterans. And in my mind, we honor our current serving folks too. Now, why is that? Because when someone takes the oath of enlistment, they have sworn themselves to serve this country. And it doesn't matter how they serve, whether they're in the rear, like the folks in Vietnam called the guys who were not in country, or they're in support now, or folks that were, there was 8.7 million servicemen and women during the Vietnam years, for, depending on when you started, for 15 or 18 years. Only 3.4 million were in Southeast Asia, and only 2.5 were in country. So it's very important that people understand you don't have to be in combat, but civilians like us will never understand those who have been in combat. Because it's one thing to point a gun at a target like I did in Salt Lake. I had the honor of a couple of guys who let me shoot basically everything small arms in Vietnam. The target wasn't shooting back. And I've always been completely mesmerized by how men and women react under pressure. You know, the fight or flight. And my kids always think I'm just a warmonger, but I'm not. I don't understand, and I never will understand probably how it affects someone on the battlefield. So the oath of enlistment is a very powerful contract, and everybody needs to know that, because I think the mistake a lot of us make is you see someone in uniform and you say, thank you for your service. Go deeper. I ask what service you're in. If you're good enough with the uniforms, then they'll tell you. And they say, what unit are you in? Or what's your MOS? And MOS means Military Occupational Specialty. You will get their ear, trust me. And then they'll talk, okay? But so many people don't know how to speak to a veteran because they don't know what to ask. And it's not a science, trust me. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Let's talk about Council Rock quickly. This is, without a doubt, one of the best school systems in Pennsylvania, maybe in the country. The 5 townships that feed into this high school, and certainly the 13 feeder schools, has produced many people. Many people who have had major impact on our area and in business, and certainly, in my opinion, one of the best Division I basketball coaches in the country. And if Jay Wright knew I was here today, being from St. Joe's, he would probably call a Mexican standoff with Phil Martelli. But that's a whole different thing. I'd like to have a show of hands from the students. Who has anyone who's currently serving or has had someone in their family serve in Vietnam? Okay. The young lady in the very corner, could you stand up, please? And then the woman just raise your hand right there. Would you kindly stand up? I have something for you. This is just another way. The MIA bracelets, you guys can. The MIA bracelets are very important during Vietnam. There's currently 1,681 MIAs that are not accounted for, starting out with, I guess it was 2,600. And 3 families that I interviewed as a result of finding them. I have printed up, I've had bracelets made for a Chief Warrant Officer, George Berg, who still is missing. It's 1971, as you know. And order Alan Siscom, who is Special Forces. He's been missing for almost 40 years as well. I have 2 more. How about the guys? Anybody? You, sir. I have a POW bracelet from Commander Paul Delonte, who was with the POW that I issued for the book. And then also Major Krosky, who was Special Forces, who has been missing for almost 4 years. So that's his bio, and that's his bracelet. I just wanted to try to let everybody understand how important the bracelets are for Vietnam, and certainly for the current serving folks as well. It's really a bond you get with someone, which is why I wrote the book. Anyway. That's what I did with my cards. All right, that's probably. Oh, there we go. When I said Jay Wright, I probably got all upset. Okay. Anyway, sorry for that distraction. One of the best quotes that I have ever heard relative to the military is from our first president. And what he said was, our willingness, the willingness of our younger folks, and the likelihood for them to serve in any war, no matter how justified, is directly proportional to how they perceive veterans from earlier wars and how they are treated and appreciated. Those words ring true now. I think it was a challenge 40 years ago, but again, part of the goal for me is to try to bridge the gap with the Vietnam vets, because they were not treated well. And I was at the tail end of the war and missed the lottery, but it's very important you all understand that that is a key common thread that we should all have. You don't have to support the war. You have to support the folks that take that oath of enlistment. That's the bottom line. Okay? The government's going to declare war, and the military is empowered to fight it. But you have to support the kids and the women and the men and women who serve. Another great quote, I think, is from Reagan, who said, "Freedom is one generation away from extinction." You know, we have many memorials for our fallen soldiers. The World War II Memorial took 49 years to build that. The Korean Memorial took 42 years. The Vietnam Memorial was far less, maybe 7. A lot of people are not aware that in Santa Barbara, there is a cross and a flag for every fallen soldier, serviceman, and woman on the beach on the weekend. 6,295 of them. The ACLU is all over it, so they have to take it down on Monday morning. So they have them all put up and then taken down by Sunday night. If you ever have a chance, you should look at it online, because I don't think it's going to take that long to be able to get a memorial built for all of our Iraqi and Afghanistan, those serving. Okay, I'm cutting back here because I think I'm running late. I'm going to finish up here. There's a YouTube video that I just did, actually, in tribute to all of our veterans and serving folks, and it's called Veterans Tribute, Scars of Freedom. I would ask you if you take time to look at it, because it really shows all the folks from Vietnam and all of the current serving folks since Desert Storm. I have a book for Mrs. McCarthy, school, and just my way of saying thank you for coming over today, if I can find it. And I also have one for Leah, which would be I also have one from Mrs. Bobrowski and the Elmore family. Anyway, I'm going to leave my last quote, okay? And this goes to all of these service men and women who ever put a uniform on. It's from the Iliad, and it goes like this. Without a word, his sword the brave man draws, and asks no omen but his country's cause. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We'll now have the laying of the wreath for our veterans. Larry Kerwood, U.S. Army veteran, will conduct. Larry. Everybody please stand. We'll now have the roll call of honor. American Legion members Chuck Resch and Skip Scarborough, both U.S. Army, will call the names of our graduates who were killed or missing in action.
Captain William D. Booth, class of 1959, United States Army, killed in action, Vietnam, May 12, 1970.
Lieutenant Daniel A. Hennessy, class of 1960, United States Army, Vietnam, December 28, 1966.
Sergeant Nelson C. Luther, class of 1960, United States Army, Vietnam, May 9, 1970.
Airman Douglas A. Post, class of 1964, United States Navy, Vietnam, July 29, 1967.
United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, April 5th, 1969.
Chief Warrant Officer Robert O. Hill, Jr., class of 1965, United States Army, Vietnam, September 27, 1970.
Warrant Officer Robert S. Scott, Jr., class of 1965, United States Army, Vietnam, August 27, 1967.
Spec 4 Harry C. Wilson, class of 1966, United States Army, Vietnam, November 18, 1967.
Private First Class David Moons, class of 1968, United States Army, Vietnam, May 1st, 1970.
Spec 3 Frank N. Meds, United States Army, Vietnam, May 27, 1967.
Lance Corporal Marvin O. Whitman, class of 1964, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, August 7, 1967.
A classmate of mine from Warrant Officer William H. McDowell, class of 1967, United States Army, Vietnam, January 27, 24th, 1969.
Captain Walter H. Sigafus, class of 1964, United States Air Force, Vietnam, April 14, 1971.
Specialist Robert Dembowski, Jr., class of 2005, United States Army, Iraq, May 24, 2007.
First Sergeant Kenneth B. Elwell, class of 1997, United States Army, Afghanistan, July 17, 2011.
Thank you. The Master Singers will now perform Sing Me to Heaven.
My heart
Thank you, Master Singers. Would everyone please stand and uncover for a moment of silence for all veterans living and deceased? Thank you. Before closing, Newtown American Legion Post 440 past Commander Jim Casey would like to recognize a Council Rock student. No? All right. This information on that one. Please remain standing while the Council Rock Color Guard retires the colors.
Veterans, present up.
Honor Guard, retire the flags.
Order, up.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That concludes the 27th Annual Veterans Day Memorial Presentation. Thank you, everyone, and all veterans and guests are invited to enjoy some refreshments in the cafeteria. Thank you.
You can stop it there.